Well, welcome back to part 2 of the NX-01 Enterprise build. We're going to start working on the hull, doing some prepping, getting some holes drilled, some painting, and begin starting on some wiring. Well, welcome back everyone to part 2. We're going to start pre-drilling and getting some holes in the lower hull so we can run our wire chases through and get them cleaned up. Make sure, especially in the pylons, we will make sure we get the multiple wires that have to go up for the massage collectors. Once we get all the holes and chaseways for the wires set up, then we can actually go and start doing a little pre-painting before we put them together. So we'll start doing that, and then we'll fall into more wiring of the lower hull, all the beacon lights, and get the wires run through for the maybe even get the wires run through for the facade collectors. So let's get over to the bench and take a look. start painting these parts, and I'm going to do the darker shade. When I do the Aztec, it's going to be a two-tone, so I'm going to do a darker shade first, then I'll apply the tech mask on top, and then do the full hull color, and then peel them off. And what I'm using right here is the Anita's galvanized tin for my darker shade. And then I think I'm going to use the Deco Art metallic acrylic zinc for my full hull color. So let me get spraying this here, and see how it looks. Definitely going to take several coats. One thing about this acrylic paint is it doesn't cover as well. And I don't want to run into these acrylic paints don't put off the smell since they're water based, and that way you can hear me. The nice thing about these are real quick. Should have put this on the lady too. Alright, we'll let that dry a bit. Alrighty everyone, we got that coats down. It's looking really good, as you can see. Almost like that almost would be as the full hull color, but we're going to go with a shade lighter. And that's what this zinc will do. It'll be a little brighter and a little lighter, or closer to the actual ship, but the two won't contrast too much, but it'll look really, really cool. Very happy with that. So next time I'll start working on doing some lighting and getting the little clear parts in. Still going to hold off on the dome up here. I'm going to try to do the painting of the little window rails and get the impulse clear parts in. I think I'm going to glue, and I think I'm going to do something a little different than what my lighting kit comes in. I'm going to put a pulsing lights back there so that'll flicker a little bit. So, alright, looking forward to it. Until next time, take care. We're going to get started putting some lighting in the lower hull, or should I say just the hull section, not really lower. Put the lighting in here and start assembling this. And I'm using the lighting kit from Gary Hughes, which I like a lot. I used it on the Enterprise refit, and then I also added an addition from NX, the saucer or the deflector ray card that would allow your deflector dish to change color. And this one's a pretty simple ship, just navigating strobes, and also the SARD collectors will have the lights that rotate. But I found him on eBay. They're really nicely priced kit, good quality, especially when you're on a budget. So yeah, you
email it. Once you get the product is actually delivered, then he emails you a sections, which is real nice. Instead of having paperwork, you got it on your computer here. And he goes through everything you need to know to wire that kit. The other thing I do like this kit is you actually get to build your circuit boards. You get to build the flash boards for the navigation lights. You get to build the flash boards for the strobes. You get to build the whole parts for the rotating lights for the SAR collectors. So that's kind of cool. I like that. It makes you feel more part of the actual build than just a board and you put it in there. And that's probably why he's able to do so nice, because you actually do assemble the circuit boards themselves. But they're really simple. They're not overly complicated. And I'm noticing this flash boards are pretty much the same that were in the refit, so why change it? It gives you pretty much both the strobe and the navigation flash boards are the same. He just gives you a variable potenter so you can change the speed of the flash. So one you'd set to slow for the nabs, and then the strobe you can set to a higher speed. But it's nice, you can kind of set, you know, the speed of the blinking as you want. So, and yeah, that's everything in there. Whoop, everything in there. Like I said, there's your flashboard. This one actually looks like it's the one for the SAR collectors. But the nice thing is he does keep all the parts separate. You know, everything to build that board is in this baggie. So you can just take this baggie out and then solder together. Here's the flash boards. Of course, there's two of them, so they're exactly the same. So that's awesome, and I like that. You know, you can always get the plug and play, which is nothing wrong with that. But kind of I'm a hands-on, and I like electronics, and I did electrical, so whether it was, you know, so I kind of like the fact that you actually get to build the boards, and like I said, simplistic. So you know, and he has it all out what to do, which, you know, if you're not very familiar with electronics, so I mean, you want some knowledge, but it's pretty self-explanatory. He marks everything to make sure you know what's what, so you know which way the chip goes in the board and everything like that. And yeah, it's really great. You know, and the instructions, and they go into, next thing you go is the where to drill the holes throughout the whole kit to run your wires. And going right into lighting the saucer. We're going to not go to that first. We're going to pull the Polar Lights instructions on assembling the hull first. And I'm going to do the hull first, get the wires run up through for the nacelles. We have these, I'm not sure how many wires there are, but the multiple wires for each light running through. Get that prepped, and then I'll build the nacelles in that. But yeah, everything's easy. Get your wires, shrink tube. He'll color code the bag, like there's a little blue dot showing that this is all the blue LEDs, whether it's a strip, LED strip, or the bulbs. He gives you the resistors in there, puts them in the same bag. It's really nice. There's the other nacelle wire kit. Here's the bulb for the nacelle, all the reds. Gives you extra wire, you know, gives you to wire everything together. You got different color ones, and you got the black and red, which is good for main power. Here's the bag of green LEDs, and I'll put a green dot on there, and all the resistors for them. Looks like there's even extra resistors in there. Because there's only 30 LEDs in the green. Here's all the white lights, whether it's the 3mm, 5mm, and the different size strips, and he pre-cuts them and everything for you. So it's nice. You need a long one, it's already cut to the length you need. Shorter one, it's already cut to the length you need. And here's all the power stuff. A little 9-volt battery tester so you can test things as you're going on. Some shrink tube, different connectors. Gives you the 2.1 millimeter jack to plug it in. Doesn't come with the power supply, but it gives you the jack, which is great. Like I said, I was really happy with the light kit that I got from him for the refit, and I figured, and then the price was great to get everything you need, and you can always add on. I always add it on. I added on the refit, and it's so easy to integrate what you want to add on to it to the whole system. Like I said, and I added the Tenant Controls deflector array card right in with it, and it works great. Everything works great, and since I liked it so much, I ordered kits. I got one from the Enterprise A, 350. I got one for my Into the Darkness JJ prize. That'll have the blue lights and the SAR that will spin. And I got a whole bunch more. One for the Enterprise D and all that stuff. So, yeah. I would definitely check it out if you're under a budget like me and you want an inexpensive light kit that comes with everything and the bells and whistles. But like I said, you do have to fill the board. It scares you. You know, you might want to go a different route, but for me, I love it. And like I said, his instructions are great and it's very simplistic, so I'm like, great. Like I said, it makes me feel like I'm more part of building the light kit instead of, okay, here's the board, you just plug these wires in and there you go. You know, it kind of makes it feel like you're building a board, you know. Sometimes I like to think of buildings like you're building them for the movies, you know. It's kind of nice to think, okay, you know, you're getting the parts from the mold department, the casting department, you know, and now you're going to light it and do all the painting and stuff like that. It kind of makes you feel like you're, you know, I kind of like that experience that you're actually building the kit, you know, the model for the movie, and being able to get a little more hands-on on the light kits, you know, boards and stuff like that. The flash boards is definitely cool for me, at least. So, all right, well, give me a second. I'll get the things I need out, and we'll get started. Oh, hello. We're back. I recorded a video earlier on wiring all this, but that video got corrupted, so but I can at least show you what I did here. I ran a 5mm white LED that will light the upper dome here. I ran two 3mm, which will light the lower half beacons here, and will also at the same time hit the upper half beacons because they'll line right up on top. Then I also ran my nacelle LEDs, and then I went with pulsating LEDs, so they'll give me a little flicker just to give a little animation to the impulse engines, you know. So I thought that would be cool. Did a little bending to them so they're about center. One big issue I found is when the top will come down this way, I had to kind of come in at an angle and point them towards the center because of these pieces here will get in the way. As you can see, they're about almost half way in on the nacelle part, so I had to bring them in an angle. I test fitted them a couple times to get them exactly where I wanted. You probably could also grind these pieces here and attach them to this, but I kind of like, you know, what I was doing, keeping everything down on the lower part of the hull. That way I can neatly run the wires through. And then I added a flasher, just watching the show, that at least the bottom one flashes. So I figured I'd put that in. You know, watching the show helps because you see things that might not be included with the kit, lighting kit or something like that. So that's an easy add-on there. And what else did we do? Got all that wired, all the resistors on it. Then I tubed all the wires coming through to keep them nice and neat, and gave them enough length so they'll reach their power terminals. And then of course the brown and the blue is my flasher, which I'm going to run that color code for all the strobes on the ship, so it's easy to tell, okay, there's the positive and there's the negative. And all my reds and blacks are constant ons. That's where we are with the lower section. And then with the top, I just went through and painted I'm using a bronze. This is an antique bronze. So it'll give you a goldish, copperish color, because what I'm kind of seeing on the show is it's kind of a gold with a reddish in it, copper. So bronze actually works perfect, especially when you paint it this silver. And then I used so that was an antique bronze there, and then I used a little bit of regular bronze on these grills. I don't know if that's canon or not, but sometimes I take liberties and just to get some flair up there. And then I also built the airlock in the back using the Paragraphics photo etch piece. I had to take the original part, file the detail off it, add the airlock hatch door, and then apply the ring. And I left the airlock hatch door that brass color, just to give it something else, some other kind of color to it. And then did a different silver than the actual body, because the body is what are they calling that? I think that's a zinc. Yeah, I'm using a galvanized zinc from Anita's. And then I used I think it's just a plain old silver. Yeah, silver anniversary. Bogart's silver anniversary is what I used for the actual hatch. I used the antique bronze, then next, and then of course the door ring. I went again with the silver anniversary just to give them a little differentness to it, you know. I even hit the pointer here. I even hit these three little pieces with the silver anniversary just to give it a little more shine to it. Hit some bronze and different bronzes on. Did the little dishes. Even hit a couple of these little upraised like button looking things there. Just you don't really overly see it, but your eye kind of catches it and makes it say, there's something going on there, and gives some depth to it. So I don't know if that's canon on the ship neither, but like I said, sometimes when you're looking at it, you just want to pull more depth instead of everything looking silver. Or this zinc color, which I'm really happy with. It's almost got a pewterish kind of color, which is what the ship looks like, and a brown, so I'm really happy. So where we are now is, I think what I want to do next is we got to still run some wires through, and we can close these pylons up. I already notched the hole out there, and then drill a hole here, which will allow the wire to come down through. And what I did here is I actually put the pylon together and notched them together, so this hole's kind of center. You see here, if it's close by here. Kind of did that. Pull these guys together. I try to, especially after your light block stuff, I try to go and clean up the pegs that allow you to glue and guide together. A, because then it'll glue better, and B, you can test fit it. And what I use is, sometimes you can use sandpaper and just twist at them, and then sometimes it's good to even go in and drill these holes, find pretty much the exact hole. You don't want to drill bigger, but if you find one that would have fit in there, and paint gets in there and makes things stick, you can do that too. Just by hand and clean them out that way. But yeah, I went through and cleaned all these pegs too, so that helps when you're test fitting things. It doesn't. If there's paint in there and it's tight, press on it, and then it won't want to come apart, and this makes it much easier. But yeah, as you can see, there's the hole where the wires will go into the nacelle. So, and we can close this up once we get these guys through. And these wires for the these are for the SARD collectors. There'll be 6 bulbs going in a circle, and then there'll be these red bulbs. There'll be 6 of them going in a circle, and each one of these wires goes to a positive on here on the bulb, and that will make that one turn on, and it'll go in a sequence. It'll look like it's rotating, so we got to get those through. And then what other wires we got to get through? We got to get a constant on power line going up through these. It'll be these. It'll be a red and a black, and then blue and brown for the strobes on the nacelles. So we got these, and then we'll need a pair of red, black, and a pair of blue and brown per nacelle. So 6, 7, 8. There'll be 10 wires going up through this. Get that done, then we can close this up. And then we can close this whole section down. Another reason why I wanted to paint this detail, I'm smart. I caught myself. I was going to put this clear piece in, and then I was like, well, then I have to mask it. So I caught myself and paint that first, and then stuck that through, and then did use the window cement to cement them in. Another thing I found from dry fitting is, even though your bulbs, they're still sitting up pretty high. I probably could have went and grinded the clear part here as well, but I think, which I should probably do a test fit, just grinding these here, because it was only a little bit. I could squeeze them together, but so it was only a little bit. So I just took a little sanding grinding stone and ground out. It kept them shiny, so when I shine it up to the light, it's still letting a lot of light through. Sandpaper, if I use the sanding drum, if I would have went and used my little sanding drum or something like that, would make it scratchy. Where this little grinding stone or polishing stone or whatever really grinds it nice and kind of smooth. So it's still clear enough that, and actually the light's coming through brilliantly, so that works good. So that's where we're at. And like I said, let's double check how that grind works. Get those pegs lined up. I found it's better, easier to get those big ones up front first, and the rest kind of fall. I'm still having one nacelle light in here once the bump, but once I can just kind of push her out of the way. And this also allows me to see if they are sitting where I want them to as well. Oh, I even have that on there. Oh, actually, get that on. I'm do on there right now. There we go. That also allows me to see how they're sitting. Are they sitting kind of level in there? I could probably actually pull them up a little higher. and I want to make sure they're kind of aiming at the engine grill will have like a bar in the center. And I kind of shoot and hit that, and that way it lights both sections because it's kind of like a 2-segment grill back there. You know, it's still kind of being a pain, but it'll work though. The main thing I want to see is how those are working. That's much better. Trying to look in there and see what they're doing. Now, let's see some that way. It's definitely better. I think once I glue and clamp, will be good. Just try and make sure they're not sliding off the where they're sitting. Yeah, I think that'll work. Worst comes to worst, I can try to do it that way so I don't scratch anything. Always try to be careful and pull up even. That's like, there we go. Just on that peg, come on you. Might need a little more cleaning. Or I might need painting the hole. Maybe what I'll do, move those out of the way and grind those a little bit, just to make sure. That won't hurt. They're definitely close enough. It's gonna. Another thing I like about the hot glue is it allows you to move these and kind of flex it. I could also grow a bit of the LED too. I'll do this. Good. Grinding my thumbnail a little bit. So I can do more level. There we go. Clean up a little bit of plastic top stuff. Yeah, that worked really good. Lights coming through there, brilliant. Try this one more time. You never test things too many times, because the worst thing is, you know, since I know an issue with this one. I use this little wire wheel to clean off the paint on it. That way it doesn't really remove the plastic. I mean, if you let it sit on there, it will. If you just do a little quick little bump touch. kind of thinking a lot of it's in here. This helps too, taking a knife and spinning, because sometimes it's just molding flashing too. Mold. So, yep, that made a big difference. One of the processes did. And again, that cleans them up so you can why is that side sitting up so high? See, this side's doing really good. Why are you higher? Before I was able to squeeze that together. Now I'm not. Interesting. Let's take a look at that. Those are like exact. Well, just grind a little more. Unless I was a little bit of an angle or something there. There we go. Now it's definitely down. Now while I'm thinking about it, well, let's just, for measures, while we've got the bit in here. It's harder because of me being righty. There we go. Again, off this. Try to get that melted around it. Perfect. Windows. There we go. And light is still brilliant coming through. Again, fourth thing. But it's much better to be dealing with this now than when you're actually going for the gluing down. Yeah, now it feels like it hit those little pegs in the center on these. So, much better. The only reason I'm really having to press down, like I can actually just press down now, there now, and it pretty much closes up. And that's what I wanted. Very good. All right. Now we're in a good spot. Now I know all those are clearing. That's in the center. go for that, because I'm always afraid that might. Okay, we can set the bottom part aside, because most of it's going to be up here. What we're doing. Alright. Okay, I'm going to start unwrapping these, and we'll get some wires cut to length. I'll measure to see how much wire I need to stick out, because these are going to go up towards the, so I need to measure how much needs to come out, and measure how much of the strobes for the end of the, how much I need there, and then we'll leave some power out too, and I'll think about where I'm going to attach my power. I think I'm going to attach it to the more towards the front where the LED strips go, because then when the LED strips come back, and like I said, again, we're going to have the wires come up through and then go up through here. I got to still drill a hole here yet to let them through. Then there's going to be the blue LED strip, and I think I'll just attach it there, because then I'm just going to feed right at the end of the strip for the red and the green light that goes here, and then I'm going to have the strobe one come up, and I'm going to measure that back here. And it's going to meet one strobe here, and then that'll also feed the other strobe in the top part of the nacelle. So let me go get some stuff ready and some measurements, and we'll start getting these wires in and close this thing up. Alright, be right back. Alright, so let me hold, let's get these wires running, get the lengths we need, the tail outs for when I get the nacelles actually built. Yeah, so let's leave. And I'm also thinking, I know with the Enterprise I actually added, do that for these. So I wonder if this is, if I shouldn't actually, before putting all this together, build this with the wires sticking out and then run them through. Because the fact that I'd have to try to close and solder and wire this up with this together. Normally I could always junction, just run little tails and just, like I did with the Enterprise, because it wasn't too bad. I didn't have spinning the stars, but to do that with these 6 wires, junction them and then fit them down, room to fit the junction, all the little tails. I mean, I could do it that way. Just a couple little solder points, and then just putting a shrink tube on them, and tucking them in here, which I almost need to make that a little bit bigger opening. The Enterprise refit had a big open. You didn't even have to drill at the top, so it's easy to tuck them in. It's easy to tuck. I had tails out of the nacelle, and then I soldered them together and then tucked them down in. It was easy. This would be tough to stuff all of them in that little slot. I could make that bigger, and then I haven't drilled the hole in the piece that will be here. But yeah, that's something I gotta think about. Where do I want to put the work in? I noticed Gary on his instruction, he built the nacelles first too. and then did the then had all this wiring coming out, and then ran all that, because I'm going to build those next. So it's interesting, but usually like on the Enterprises you get all that together and move out. How do I want to do this? Interesting. I'm glad that popped in my head just now. Because like I said, if it was just, 3 pairs, but it'll be a pair of red and black for the constant power, a pair of blue and brown for the strobe, and then 6 of these. Interesting. Well, let me think about that and we'll come back. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We got a few things started on the NX-01 project. Till next time, we'll start getting some lighting into this hull pieces. I already did get the Aztecs done on both pieces, so until then, thanks for watching.